This is what I like to say when my wife is in the mood.
I think we're going in!
Released in 1996 and is directed by Jean Debont, who's also directs such films like Speed, The Haunting, and Lara Croft Tomb Raider. And this film is starring Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, Jamie Gertz, Carrie Elways, who's one of the most awkward people I've ever met, and the incredible and amazing Philip Seymour Hoffman. Twister follows 2 days in the lives of a group of meteorologists who are bound and determined to get their new device up into the cyclone of a twister so that they can take a whole bunch of different readings so that they can better understand a tornado and are able to give people more warning to take shelter when a tornado is about to happen in their area. And in the mix of this, we actually have a kind of a lover's quarrel here between the characters of Bill and Joe. Joe played by Helen Hunt and Bill played by Bill Paxton. They were married and they were on this team, and then Bill went and found another woman and wanted to be a weatherman, wanted to get out of the whole danger area, which doesn't make sense because Bill is the extreme! He's the extreme! But he's back in town to get the divorce papers signed, but this is when all the tornadoes are happening in the area. It's tornado season, and so he feels that urge again to get back into the saddle and drive around and chase tornadoes, which is the smartest thing a living person can do. Short little story, when this movie first came out, and actually the first time we watched it was on VHS at home, and the opening scene when the family goes out to the shelter and they forget their dog, I mean, they're just fucking idiots and terrible people for doing that. I started freaking out because I thought the dog was going to be sucked up by the tornado, and I started crying and bawling my eyes out. So I went upstairs and I went to bed, and then I came back down 40 minutes later and the whole movie was completely different, and I was much happier because no dogs were harmed in the movie. Made me feel much better, and you all know me when it comes to dogs, cats, or any animal, fluffy, adorable little animal being hurt or killed in a movie. I just can't fucking do it. So that's a brief history of my love and nostalgia when it comes to watching this. And the reason why I am watching this is because the sequel that has been talked about for decades. I know they talked about a sequel to this movie when the original came out in 1996, and they are finally making a sequel to this thing. I haven't watched any of the previews. I don't know who these characters are going into it. I know Glenn Powell is in it, and everyone's just trying to make him a thing nowadays, which kind of makes sense because he's pretty cool. But I'm actually really pumped for the sequel because I really enjoy this movie. Is this movie great? Is it wonderful? Is it groundbreaking? God, no. There's a lot of cheesiness that really, like, this film belongs in the 80s when it comes to the amount of cheese that is in this movie. Carrie Elways plays the evil meteorologist team, and you know they're evil because they're just dicks. And they just talk shit about everyone, but they drive around in black vehicles. And if you need to know that a rival team is evil and bad, they're all in black. They're all evil people. But then the cheesiness of having the one man who can do the thing, to stop the thing, to save the thing, trademark. He's the one guy who can face a tornado and know what the tornado is thinking. He looks out at the sky and he knows where the tornado is going to be in a couple of seconds. Turn left here! It's gonna get off its course. I love it. I love it whenever this happens. We need more characters like this. Just people that fucking know what's going on, but no one takes them seriously. They don't give the budget to him. They give the budget to the jerk-off Carrie Elways and his black vehicles because he's evil. I love the character work in this movie. It's so goddamn good. But when you talk about character work, and I'm not kidding or messing around with this, watching this movie this time, Philip Seymour Hoffman as Dustin, who is this crazy, whacked out, weeded up dude. When I was a kid, I thought he was hilarious. I thought he was the comedic relief. He has one of the best character arcs I have ever seen in films, and I am not kidding you about that. He starts off not serious about anything. He's this extreme surfer dude. Dude, did you just miss the truck? That was fucking awesome! Exquisite! But as this film progresses, you see this character and all of the walls that they've built up with this extremist dude that he's hiding behind, this mask that he's hiding behind. You see the walls and this mask just crumble down around him, and he actually becomes a real-life, true human being where he's just talking to people as an actual person. He is not over the top. Yes, he's still funny and he's still joyful and lively at times in the climax of this film, but you can see this character mature over time and have that breakout realization of this person, of this character. It's one of the best performances I've ever seen in movies, and I'm not kidding. This performance is amazing. Not to mention, he has some of the best lines of this movie. The suck zone, man. And another aspect that I really enjoy about this film, and I think it's something that I realized early on, like when I was a kid watching this for the first time, but even more so now that I have a vast knowledge of movies, they made this movie into a monster film. Like, this is Jaws, but with tornadoes. Whenever a tornado appears or whenever a tornado touches down on the ground, you hear this growling. And tornadoes don't growl. They're not animals. They don't have vocal cords to growl. But you just hear it with the destruction that they're leaving in its path. It sounds like a roar, and it sounds like a growl. As if this tornado that you, as the tornado chaser, are chasing, now the tornado's chasing you. And I love that concept. I love that idea of making these tornadoes out to be actual vicious killers. As if you're in the ocean, and Jaws is swimming around you, and it's going to make the kill. That's how the tornadoes are presented in this movie, and it's wonderful. Now, it does get to the point where the scientific logic of how these tornadoes act and how some characters are able to be planted on the ground when other, like, heavy-ass things like trucks and signs and houses are being lifted up by being, like, I don't know, like a mile away from the thing. When these characters somehow are, like, standing, like, 2 feet away from the tornado, they're still able to be planted down on the ground and run and walk and stuff. So the science of this movie doesn't really make sense. And it's one of those aspects about a film like this that you just have to turn your brain off and be like, no, I'm not going to focus on that. Does that make sense? Scientific sense? No, it doesn't. But gosh darn, you just sit back and you have a good time, because the characters in here are very enjoyable. Helen Hunt, who's an actress that I really enjoyed in the 90s and the early 2000s, and then she fell off the face of the earth for some reason. But I think she and Bill Paxton have great chemistry with each other, and how they hate and spar with each other, but you also see that there's caring and there's love behind the arguments that they have in this film, which I just love that Melissa, who is the fiancée of Bill, just like, yeah, I'm leaving here, we're calling off the wedding, because I can't compete with this. She's a crazy meteorologist that you are also a meteorologist, and you both love doing this shit. I'm a doctor, I'm a therapist, I sit in an office somewhere, I don't do this shit. I'm out. Twister, an enjoyable 90s film that still holds up today. Surprisingly, I didn't think it was going to, but it absolutely does. Great performances from Bill Paxton and Philip Seymour Hoffman, who are sadly no longer with us. Gosh, I really wish they were, because I would love to see these characters in the sequel. But unfortunately, we can't see them, but they're in this film, and you need to watch it. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to give Twister 4 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I like it a lot.
So guys, if you've seen Twister, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below and let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so you'll know the next time I release next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.